Hello, so this is something I wrote for my English class. It's called Never Regret. Long white puffy lines bubble in my left arm. The largest line is about 2 inches long and less than half an inch wide. The rest of the lines are just little white scratches. They extend from the left side to the right side. Sometimes I run my fingers from my wrist to the inside of my elbow. There are so many lines I can't even count them anymore. I can still feel them bubbling to the top of my skin. They feel abrasive, bumpy, and coarse. In comparison, the rest of my skin is soft and smooth. I remember carving each line into my arm. I remember trying to hide them from everyone because I didn't want them to think I was looking for attention. I didn't want attention. I wanted everyone to ignore me. I still try to hide them from prying eyes. Though I try to hide them, I will never regret them. When I was born, my sister hated me. I could never figure out what fueled her hatred for me. My sister Jamie pushed me down the stairs. She is only 2.5 years older than me. I was in a white bassinet on the top of the stairs. The bassinet had wheels on it, which made it easy to move. She stood on her tippy toes. I flung from the bassinet. My father could hear me screaming as I rolled down the stairs. He managed to catch me before I hit the bottom floor. When Jamie was asked why she pushed me down the stairs, she said I wasn't trying to, I just wanted to see the new baby. When I was told this story, I didn't believe it because this was the start of emotional and physical abuse. When I was 5, she would pull my hair back until I fell on the floor at her feet. I would try not to fight her back, but after holding my anger back, I would lash out at her. My fists would start to curl, my voice would become louder, and I just couldn't take it. I wrapped my tiny hands around her throat. She was always much smaller than me. I remember how good it felt having the person who hurt me the most between my hands. How could I be so scared of this person? My father separated us and sent us to our rooms. I entered a new kindergarten class at Downey's Elementary School. I was nervous, shaking all over. I could feel the beads of sweat stringing down my skin, twisting my dry, coarse hair through my fingers and then into my mouth. I started being teased by a small group of girls in the class. It was only name calling, but none of the other kids wanted to be friends with me. They were scared that they too would be teased. I dealt with the pain of going home and crying every night. I remember the taste of salty beads of tears dripping into my mouth. The abuse at school only got worse over time. When I was 9, it was no longer just name calling. The girls would throw pencils into my eyes until I ran out of the room crying into the bathroom. The stinging, sharp point connecting with my eyelid. One time when we were in gym class, they burned my clothes. They would sometimes cut my hair in the middle of class. My sister was getting worse at home as well. Jamie would come up behind me, wrap her hands around my throat, and then wrap her legs around me. The only way I could get out was to back into the wall repeatedly. My mother never saw it, so she didn't believe me. I wasn't sure which was worse, my sisters or the girls at school. My dad saw my pain. I was constantly tasting my own salty tears. My eyes were constantly red from crying and trying to rub the tears away. I was a little girl with nowhere to call my own, nowhere I felt safe. Every day I just wanted to die. When I was 14, I started taking pills every day just to feel something good. My body was on emotional roller coaster between depression and anger. I was empty inside and miserable. I could be in a room full of people, but I still felt alone. I was seeing a therapist weekly, but nothing changed. I still didn't have any friends. I was also still getting abused daily at school and at home. There had to be something wrong with me. Wanting to end it all, I grabbed one of my knives from my knife collection. In all the books, such as Buddha and the Borderline, Girl Interrupted, and Loud in the House of Myself, the 3 women, Kira Gilder, Susanna Kaysen, and Stacy Purcell, ran the blade up and down, starting from the wrist, leading to the inside of the elbow. Staring at the blade, I found that I couldn't do it. I placed the blade on my left and slowly pressed it into my skin. The cuts trickled with blood. Somehow this was calming to me. My body now matched the emotional pain I was feeling. It was beautiful to me. It released a feeling that I never felt before. It was almost a masturbating release. I was happy, calm, and relaxed, almost as though I'd just gotten off. A smile even entered my face as I was doing it. I could feel this thick liquid between my fingers, like red maple syrup. It was smooth and warm. My blood dripped, staining the floor beneath me. I felt high. The sweet smell of rusting metal trickled my nose. It smelled good to me. I had to taste it. It tasted like blood from a steak. I became addicted to this feeling. It became just another part of my day. In fact, it was the only part of my day that I enjoyed. I continued carving my arm until I was 18. My father passed away when I was 18. I lost my home, left Penobscot Job Corps, and had to move in with my oldest sister, Lynn. At night it was quiet, I couldn't sleep. I was forced to take a hard look at my life I was living. I didn't have a job, any friends, and no education. My mental illness was controlling my life. I was addicted to cutting, drinking, and smoking. I had nothing. I decided that day that no matter what I went through, I wasn't going to give in to my impulses. It all started with a dream that I was going to make something out of my life. I was going to do something to make my father proud. It was hard to give up all these impulses. I ended up reaching out to a therapist and a mental health group in the community. I pushed myself to go forward. Some of the scars still look as fresh as the day that I carved them, while others have faded. I still think about cutting myself sometimes, just to see if I still have the same feelings as I did back then. But then I think about all the things that I have now. I still don't have any friends, but I have so much more. I have a family, a future, and a lot more possibilities ahead of me. I still try to hide them. Long shirts and sweaters used to be the way I hid them. Now I don't hide them with fabric, but the way I keep my hand. When I meet people, I try to keep my forearm up and facing them. When I sit in the classroom, I either keep my hand down with my wrist facing the desk or with my arms tucked into my body. Every time I look at the white line, I remember where I started in life and where I am now. I used to want to die every day, but now I want to live every day to the fullest. I think about the change I had to go through to survive. I look at these lines, and I know that things can get worse, or they can get better, depending on how I react to the world around me. I can see myself as hopeless every time I hit a bump, or I can find a solution and keep going. I know that I can do anything, and there is always a solution to the problem. I am reminded of how I used to feel so ugly, worthless, and fat. Now I have confidence in myself. Though sometimes I wish to forget this time in my life, I will never regret it. So that is all. Thank you for watching.